Elmore Smith's defense and rebounding would always be his calling card, but he was more skilled offensively than people gave him credit for. He could move like a small forward, taking bigs off the dribble to finish strong at the rim, or he could get in the post and shoot the occasional turnaround jumper. Elmore was severely underrated his entire career, as during his best season, he averaged a double-double with 5 blocks a game, but he wasn't named to an all-star or all-defensive team. Maybe it's because he didn't play for a lot of winning teams, or his playstyle wasn't the flashiest. But despite his lack of recognition, he was a solid starter who played his role to perfection, as he still holds the record to this day for blocks in the game. He was a consistent double-double machine along with a couple blocks, until a knee injury forced him to retire after 7 years. Welcome to PZ Hoops, and let's get down to it. Elmore was born on May 9th, 1949 in Macon, Georgia. He played at Ballard Hudson High, but as a 5'11" freshman, he was cut from the varsity team due to his own words, having no skills. But after he grew to 7 feet over the next 2 years, the principal practically threatened him, "If you don't go out for basketball, we're going to kick you off campus." Elmore made the team, but he barely played, but he said he got scholarship offers due to just being tall and coordinated. He had originally committed to Wiley College, but he was told that he wouldn't play that much, so then he transferred to Kentucky State, a Division II school at the NAIA level. Elmore joined another future NBA player in Travis Grant, as the Thoroughbreds were a dominant team. As a sophomore, Smith averaged 15 points and 20 rebounds. The next year, he averaged 22 points and 23 rebounds, being named an All-American as Kentucky State won the national championship. As a senior, Elmore improved even more, averaging 25 points and 24 rebounds, making another All-American team and winning another national championship. Elmore finished his college career as the all-time Division II leader in career rebounds. Even though he went to a small school, his mix of size, rebounding, and interior defense put him firmly on the NBA radar. He was selected 3rd overall in the 1971 NBA draft, behind Austin Carr and Sidney Wicks, joining a Buffalo Braves team going into their second season as a franchise after winning 22 games the previous year. Although the Braves weren't an elite team, they had some nice pieces. Bob Kaufman was a very solid big coming off a career year. Randy Smith was a good scorer and rebounder, and Walt Hazard had been a consistent point guard for years. Elmore would start from day one, dropping 10 points and 16 rebounds in his debut, but he would foul out and shoot 5 for 21. He really hadn't developed his offensive game at this point, so he didn't have a lot of reliable moves. So although he was averaging a double-double through his first 20 games, he was shooting under 40%. He was also undisciplined defensively early on, as he fired out 10 times this year, but the positives were definitely there, as he dominated the glass, grabbing 20 rebounds in 15 games, including 25 rebounds on 3 separate occasions. Although he wasn't an efficient scorer yet, he still got his buckets, as he dropped 3 30-point games and his career high of 40 on February 25th in a loss to the Celtics. Buffalo had a very inefficient offense this year, ranking last in field goals made, last in free throw percentage, and last in points. Their defense was just average, but they still struggled, finishing 22 and 60 on the season. Elmore averaged 17 points and 15 rebounds on 45% shooting, finishing as a runner-up to Sidney Wicks for Rookie of the Year. His 15 rebounds a game were the 8th highest total by a rookie in NBA history. In 1972, the Braves received a gift wrapped in gold, as they drafted Bob McAdoo 2nd overall, although he was the clear number 1 pick. But rumors of him signing an NBA contract led to Commissioner Walter Kennedy advising teams not to draft him. So the Blazers chose LaRue Martin instead, and now Buffalo was developing a nice young frontcourt. Kaufman was able to slide down to the small forward spot, where his passing made him a nightly triple-double threat. Elmore continued his usual work on the glass, grabbing 20 rebounds in 10 games, but he was showing that he could pass as well, as he had 9 games with 5 or more assists. He dropped 6 30-point games, with his best being a 36-point and 23-rebound performance against the Sixers on January 30th. McAdoo averaged 18 and 9, winning Rookie of the Year. Elmore averaged 18 points and 12.5 rebounds on an improved 48% shooting, as he finished top 15 in MVP voting. Despite all the production from their young talent, the Braves were still terrible offensively and their defense had regressed, as they finished 21 and 61 on the year. McAdoo was frustrated in 1973, as coach Jack Ramsey refused to play him at center due to his skinny frame, but Bob was insistent on playing center, especially after he averaged 41 and 19 on 57% shooting in the last 3 games of the previous season playing the 5. So Elmore was traded to the Lakers for Jim McMillan. Los Angeles was in the transitional phase, but Elmore was reunited with his college teammate, Travis Grant. Jerry West was playing his last season, while Connie Hawkins was a shell of himself at this point, as Gail Goodrich was the new leader offensively for them. Wilt was at odds with the Lakers last year after they refused to negotiate his contract after they won the title in 1972. The trade for Elmore caused him to retire, as he was upset that the Lakers were essentially replacing him. 1973 would be the first year that blocks were counted as stats, as Elmore's defensive impact could now be measured. He dropped 15 points, 19 rebounds, and 6 blocks in his Lakers debut. From October 23rd to the 28th, he had one of the craziest weeks in NBA history, as he dropped 13 triple-doubles with blocks, including an unreal game against Portland where he dropped 12 points, 16 rebounds, and a still-standing NBA record 17 blocks. I didn't realize how many I blocked until after the game, when people were asking me about it. You don't keep count of things like that, Smith would later say. The record seemed to not cause much of an alarm as well, perhaps because blocks as an official stat were so new. The game story in the Times focused on Gail Goodrich, who scored a career-high 49 points in the Lakers' mastery of the Trailblazers, who were at that point 0-17 against the Lakers. Smith's block total wasn't mentioned until the 11th paragraph. He would still dominate the glass though, with 20 rebounds in 4 games, but he blocked 10 or more shots in 7 games. His best game of the season was on March 24th against his former team, dropping 37 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks. Goodrich and West both averaged over 20 points, carrying the Lakers to the 3rd best offense and finishing with a 47-35 record, facing the Bucks in the semifinals. Elmore's career year would see him average 12.5 points, 11 rebounds, and a league-leading 5 blocks a game. His 393 total blocks would be an NBA record until Mark Eaton broke it in 1984. Despite him having the 7th lowest defensive rating in the league, Elmore wasn't named to an all-star or an all-defensive team, but he would have his hands full trying to contain Kareem in the playoffs, as he averaged 33 points and 23 rebounds in the first 2 games, which were Bucks wins. Elmore had the best playoff game of his career in a Game 3 win, with 30 points, 17 rebounds, and 3 steals. But Milwaukee was too much for the Lakers, as they would win the next 2 games by 20 points each, taking the series in 5. After Jerry West retired in 1974, the Lakers fell off a cliff, as Jim Price was brought in to try and replace his scoring. Elmore was still consistent on the glass and on defense, blocking 5 or more shots in 15 games, with his best game being against the Suns on December 1st, when he dropped 29 points, 20 rebounds, 2 steals, and 9 blocks. Goodrich and Price both averaged 20, but outside of Elmore, the Lakers didn't have any stoppers, leading to them having the 2nd worst defense in the league. They finished 30-52, missing the playoffs for the first time since 1957. Elmore averaged 11 points, 11 rebounds, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. In 1975, Elmore would be on his 3rd team, as he was sent to the Bucks along with Junior Bridgman, Brian Winters, and Dave Myers for Kareem and Walt Wesley. Bob Dandridge was the lone star on the team at this point, and Elmore would start at center and play his role. He had 18 games with 5 or more blocks, even dropping 20 points, 16 rebounds, and 8 blocks against Portland on March 23rd. Brian Winters had broken out, becoming an all-star, but Milwaukee didn't have a lot of scorers, so their defense was their strength, as they limped to a 38-44 record, sneaking into the playoffs and facing the Pistons in the first round. Elmore averaged 15.5 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 3 blocks this season. He had 16-13 with 7 blocks in Game 1, but Gary Brokaw had the game of his life with 36 points on 76% shooting as the Bucks took Game 1. Elmore dropped 16 points in Game 2, but he only grabbed 3 rebounds, as Bob Lanier's 35 points and 8 rebounds helped Detroit even the series. He had a quiet Game 3 with 12 points, 6 rebounds, and a block as Detroit won on the road, taking the series in 3. The Bucks signed Sven Nader in 1976, and since he was better offensively than Elmore, he got a majority of the center minutes. But Smith would find himself on the move again, as he was traded along with Brokaw to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Roland Garrett and 2 first-rounders. Cleveland was a defense-first team, with players like Campy Russell, Jim Brewer, and Jim Clemens, but Elmore would find himself buried on the bench behind Jim Chones and an aging Nate Thurman. But even with his reduced role, he was still producing good numbers. He dropped 13 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 blocks in 27 minutes against Indiana, while he also had one of his best career games in the start against Atlanta on March 13th, when he dropped 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 blocks on 13 of 14 shooting. Cleveland's defense would be the 2nd best in the league, but their offense was lacking, so he finished 43-39, making their 2nd playoff appearance in franchise history, facing the Bullets in the first round. Elmore put up 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks in only 12 minutes, but the Cavaliers shot 39% as a team, losing by 9. He dropped 4 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals on 2 of 7 shooting in Game 2, but the Cavs won. He dropped 20 points and 10 rebounds off the bench in Game 3, but the Cavs would lose the game and the series. Cleveland signed the free agent Clyde Frazier in the offseason, although he was well past his prime at this point. Elmore had a bench role again this season, but he was still producing. From October to January, he was only playing about 15 minutes a game, but he was a great 6th man for the Cavs. He went back into the starting lineup and was playing at a career level. Cleveland's offense was still bad, but they were able to get the same records they had last year at 43-39, facing the Knicks in the first round. Elmore averaged 12.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 2 blocks this year. He started Game 1, dropping 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks. but his former teammate Bob McAdoo dropped 41 points as the Knicks won by 18. Elmore had 8 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals and a block in Game 2, but McAdoo's 27-12 helped the Knicks win Game 2 and take the series. The Cavs were plagued with injuries in 1978 as several players missed time. Elmore was once again in the bench role behind Jim Chones, but he was dealing with a knee injury, not making his season debut until February. He was still putting up numbers, but it was clear that he wasn't fully healthy. After the season, he opted for knee surgery, as in his shortened year, he averaged 6.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and a block. But after this surgery, he still wasn't healthy enough to play, so he decided to retire at the age of 29. Elmore would quietly enjoy his retirement until he decided to start a barbecue sauce business, which he serves in his own restaurant at the Cavs arena, as he remains in the Cleveland area, often showing up to the games. Elmore was an extremely productive player as soon as he stepped foot in the NBA. He was an elite rebounder and inside scorer, but he was in the era with some of the best big men of all time, so his stats were overshadowed, mostly because he played on losing teams. But once blocks were counted, his defensive impact could be measured as he was proven to be an elite rim protector, even setting NBA records that still haven't been broken to this day. His elite inside presence was deserving of an all-star or at least an all-defensive team nod, but he was extremely productive no matter how many minutes he played, and that should be commended. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys for all the support on this channel. There's this dude who has the most blocks in the game in NBA history and nobody talks about him. That's kind of wild. Like, he has an NBA record and nobody says anything. You know, I feel like that would be a trivia question or something that somebody would answer. Like, I look at his career, I'm like, this dude was a solid player. Like, he was solid. Like, he was really nice. You would think somebody who had an NBA record, more people would know about. I just can't believe like somebody had 3 triple doubles with blocks in a week and nobody talks about it. That's insane. Thank you guys for watching again. I really appreciate all of you. Leave a like if you enjoyed that. Subscribe when if you're new. Thanks for all the support. Be safe, stay on the grind. I'm out. Peace.